Okay, so Unit 1011 has two different stories. In the book, there's also a chapter on um, a famous deaf person that I'd never heard of. So, not saying that I know every deaf person, but it seemed a very odd chapter. But, anyways, um, I will try to scan that and post it, but it's not necessary because I won't test on it. This is dealing with story comprehension, and I'm also want to look at story structure and the storytelling aspect of it. Something we usually cover in either Unit 6 or 12, but I do want to highlight it in this one because there's some really good examples. And I want to apologize now for the story Why the Owl Has Big Eyes. I don't know why in a textbook they would pick a story involving a creator god, but I suppose we could talk about the influence of Christianity on deaf culture and signed languages around the world and deaf education around the world. But hi, Dodge. Yes, I've got to record this. So why don't you stay down for right now, and then I will come and keep you company. Okay? You'll probably see him. No, just don't do that. Okay. He's going to jump in my lap. Here, Dodge. Okay. No. You're fine. You're fine. I'm going to put you up here so you can be right next to me. Okay? Here. No. Okay. Well, we see who's the boss here. This is why I don't get upset if people have like distractions in their videos, because that's just a part of life. Okay. Especially in quarantine. Okay, so I will pop this in here when I'm done. We're going to watch. You're going to make me edit this out, aren't you? Okay, curl up and get comfy, because I got to do this. Curl up and get comfy. Okay, so story comprehension. So we want to watch videos over and over again to make sure we're getting more and more information from them. You're not going to get everything the first time. I, as a teacher and doing this for 30 plus years, I still watch videos over and over. That's why it takes so long to grade, is you end up watching videos 5, 6 times to pick out little pieces so that you can give feedback. So one of the first things I want to say is, same thing with, if you remember, reading comprehension back in middle school. Back in middle school, they always say, read the questions first. Know what you're looking for. It will save you one big step and one big chunk of time. So you want to know what you're looking for if you have to answer specific questions. Make sure you understand the gist of the story. You should be able to understand most of what's in there. It's very rare that we'll give you a video that has stuff you shouldn't know. Maybe once in a while a sign, but most of those signs you can get from context or will teach you the vocab beforehand. You should be able to answer, after watching the story, you should be able to answer simple questions about it. So don't just watch and go, like you're watching a Law and Order episode, I don't really care. Just wash over me. You need to be actively engaged in, oh, try to remember that. Oh, something happened here. Oh, that was an interesting sign. Try to remember stuff and anticipate what the discussion might be. And last, the next step is being able to tell it yourself. I don't care whether you're just copying what they do or if you retranscribe it and work from that copy. The best way of learning the rhythms of ASL and being able to internalize them is to watch someone else and mimic them, copy what they're doing. Even down to the rhythm. How long does each beat take? Where do they pause? What are their eyebrows doing? That will get into your body rather than just, I just watched the video and I'm signing my own. Because if you just sign your own, you're going to be using grammatical structures that you use every day. You're not going to be using the ASL that they'd use every day. So here you're just retreading what you already have. There you're taking and learning what they do. So it's the best way. Again, I always come back to how I learned ASL in theater. You watch it. I would watch a deaf person sign a line, and my instinct was to do it more English or more English-based grammar. And I'd watch them and go, "Oh, that's totally not what I would do." And I would copy them and copy them and copy them, and oftentimes video them, and then copy from that, making sure my eyebrows were doing the same thing. It may not be the best ASL, but it's their instinctual ASL. It's someone whose first language is ASL, and that's the best way. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, although I think satire is. But anyway, so here are three signs that will help with this story. God, right? We talk about, I'm a bit of creator God. Take it as you will. This is not meant to insult any religion or to preach any religion. This is just the story we were handed. So a God in this story. And it's kind of like Father. It ends in Father. It just comes from above. Like a hatchet chop. Dad. Father. God. I think God tends to have fingers closed. You'll see it without the thumb. World. Two different things. They'll use W's for world. That tends to be an older or more Englishy sign. Oftentimes they'll also partner with this to show the shape of the world. And now a lot of people are just doing for a world. Kind of like group of people. World. And it's usually big, right? As opposed to Pluto, not a real planet. Okay. And last is, you've seen Skilled, probably. There's big brain, very knowledgeable about. In this case, expert. Oftentimes the mouth says poop. It's a lot of a lot of. Ooh, very skilled person. Yeah. So the story comprehension. Here's some questions. Describe Rabbit's personality, and I'll put these questions are here in the slideshow. I don't think there's a worksheet for this because this is a classroom activity, so we just have the slideshow. If anybody has problems, let me know, and I can put them into a Word document and send it to you. So basic questions about the story. I'm not going to watch the story on here because, again, watching a video is probably going to be unclear. Better for you to open up the video yourself. So here's the video on story comprehension. I am going to pause here and assume you watch the video. And then I'm going to, I'm not actually going to pause. I'm going to ask you to pause your video, watch the other video, then come back to this. Because otherwise we're just answering questions that aren't going to be helpful. So I'm going to ask you to describe Rabbit's personality, what he looked like originally. In this, there's lots of different fables that are like this. Of Christopher Plummer told the story. Christopher Plummer played this author in the movie The Man Who Would Be King. And he wrote Rikki Tikki Tavi. He wrote the original Jungle Book, Rudyard Kipling. He plays him in the movie as a writer journalist. There's a story of how the elephant got its trunk, and it's about elephants used to have small noses, and it went to a river, and I don't remember why it was at the river, and an alligator or a crocodile grabs his nose, and they have a tug of war, and it ends up pulling his trunk out. So it's one of those tales, um, very much of humans don't understand science, so let's say it's magic. So here we're going to describe that rabbit used to have short, stumpy legs, short, stumpy ears, and kind of didn't like it. So when he had a chance to file a complaint with the creator who created him, thought he wasn't supposed to make any mistakes. Anyway, he described why he wants to change his appearance and, what benefit it will be to him. So we have two different things where describing the personality, what he wants, and then what the final product is. So, and again, I'm not exactly doing what they're doing in the story, because I want you to watch I want you to pay attention to how she's signing it. Um, okay. Right. That's what he wanted. Ew. Which I don't know. You've ever seen an owl? They're pretty cute until you move the feathers away, and then you realize how scrawny their body is, because that's how they can fly and silent. I think they're the only bird that can fly silently. Um, kind of a petty god there. Okay, whatever. So there are two vocab words in this unit. They actually apply to the next story, the one that's for homework. And they are to be enthusiastic, eager, or excited. Middle finger, we know feeling, right? We know sick. This is a hand shape that we use for something internal or in the middle of. Center. Middle, center. Heart, feeling, sick. We say naked or naked, and it's because we're seeing what's inside, not what's on the outside. We early. You didn't come at the appointed time. You came early. You came before. Rude. There's no pretense. There's no politeness. You're getting just what's on the inside. So excited is alternating hands, touching the chest, coming up. Kind of like, what's up? I'm excited. Right? Event. And the next is thrilled, delighted. Boom. You'll also see it like this, meaning like inspired. Thrill. Woohoo. That kind of thing. It's a little bit more than enjoy. Enjoy is pretty tame. Okay. There are really only two. Everything else is sort of a retread, stuff we've already covered. But I do want to look at the structure of the story and some of the uses of classifiers to build on that supplemental video that I put up. There are basically 4 different chunks, and this is how I want to divide up the homework that I'm going to post on GoReact. Because I want you to tell the story, but I want to break it down into 4 different pieces. So there's the introduction, where narrator, aside from rabbit, there are 2. There's rabbit, so you can see the 2 ears, or rabbit. I'm going to caution you that rabbit is always with the back of the hand forward. Horse is palm forward. Rabbit, thumbs up, rabbit, bunny. I tend to think of this as being bunny, something small you hold. This being rabbit, being, especially if you're going to roll, shift, and show it, as opposed to just like petting. So the introduction is the setting of, oh, hey, here's the point of my story. It's very classic fable. It's very classic sort of allegory story of, hey, you want to know why this is? I'll tell you. It's also very clear in ASL. We're always looking at what's the most clear way of telling a story, the least confusing. Because in ASL, it's really easy to get off track, especially if you're translating in your head from English. So we want to set up, here's the point of my story. Here's owl, here's rabbit, why do they look like that? Second part is the creation of the world, so establishing the world in which they live. And notice, an ASL sentence, if you look at the basic grammar, we start with time and location. So now we're going to stretch that out to a story where here we're going to tell a story, my subject. Then I'm going to say, here's the time and location. Here's how it was created so that you understand where we're going to be. And then we'll introduce the actual characters and what they do and the results. So it's very much stories follow the basic sentence structure. We just stretch it out and add and fill in more details. So things repeat. When I say things repeat, we have more and more subject of verbs, actor, action, descriptions all get in there. So that's how we flesh out stories. Then within that, we have the creator. Conversation with rabbit. So the next one is owl interrupts. And here's the introduction that we set up in the previous unit, where it's like, hold on, let me take care of this first. Okay. So, nicely handled. That punish. Okay. So then we have the introduction to owl, and then what happens afterwards. So that structure is a good way of breaking things down. In ASL 1 and 2, I recommend to students to break things down into simpler pieces if a sentence is confusing. Try to figure out what the simplest way of, if it sounds like you're in kindergarten trying to structure sentences, do it that way and then string those together. That's how ASL works, is we have image, 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 and we establish relationships between them so we can see the whole story. So don't be afraid of breaking things down. If an English sentence has things crammed together, it might be better, it might be more clear to break things up, to do this noun, this noun, this verb, this noun, this verb, this noun, this verb, and then what happens at the end. Sign it that way and see how it feels. Out of signing, you will find better ways of doing things, or things that are more clear. If you can watch yourself and imagine you're seeing it for the first time and go, that's confusing me even though I know what the answer is. All right. So again, I put the story back in the video. I kept calling it How the Rabbit Has Long Ears, and I was like, no, it's Why the Owl. Anyway, I want to point out that the descriptive classifiers are how she describes the rabbit and the owl. Ears, legs, and describing what the owl looks like at the beginning with big eyes. So those are perfect examples of descriptive classifiers. And in each case, 3. Even 3 of what each animal wants changed about them. 3 is a good round number. If you're looking for ways of expanding on a topic, just get a rhythm in your head of 3 things. The example I always use is but that's a nice round example. 3 examples, 3 descriptors, and we have a real good idea. If you'd rather a math thing, 3 points to find a plane, right? So, so she explains that she's going to tell us a story about how they look the way we know them to look. So I'm just really expanding on what I said in this introduction. Time and location of the area, and that the creator created the landscape and then put the animals in. But time-wise, it's not quite as far as when the humans were created. It's before that. So as you watch the video, notice here's how she establishes time. Here's the time, here's the location, but wait, we're not quite far enough that, there's humans there yet. Before the humans ruined everything. Then the conversation with Rabbit. And even within these, I've broken them down into beats, that if it helps to practice an individual beat before recording the video. And, I would rather have you practice the individual videos than put them together and try to tell a story, rather than clip, clip, clip. I cannot stand YouTube videos where people can't manage more than a sentence, and they have to keep editing out and putting another word in, and you watch people, and like everything's changing, the sun changes, the time on the clock changes. I hate that. Like, if you have to be perfect on a video, maybe you shouldn't be doing videos. Or if you care so much about it, I said the wrong thing. You don't like language. You just, I don't know. So I don't care if you make mistakes. If you then fix them, you get bonus points. Well, you don't get bonus points, but you get my respect and eternal adoration for catching your mistakes and fixing them. Okay, so back to here. Here are little things. I would recommend in this one, for example, conversation with rabbit. Tell the first chunk, sign the first chunk, feel comfortable. Sign the second chunk, feel comfortable. And then the third one, sign it and feel comfortable with that. Then put all three together, sign those. And then go back, go with each chapter, and eventually you can do all of them. Work from an outline, that's fine. If you look down or if you have it on the screen and you're like, even hitting next slide, that's cool. The main thing is getting yourself physically used to signing ASL. Okay, so now we have interruption about. There's a few more steps in this one, and if you need to break up some of these, that's fine. Dealing with rabbit, starts to do the changes, takes him, elongates the ears, elongates the legs, and then all of a sudden, well, not to get tapped on the shoulder, but right, basically, sacrilege. And then then when done with that, get out of here. Turns back, let's finish with sign for escape or disappear, appear, disappear. Flee, fly, flaons, fly. Yeah. Evaporates, or Star Trek. Transporter, beam me up, Scotty. All right, so that's the story in breaking it down. And I will post these things on Go React. This is going to be an ongoing story because this is a pretty complex story, and I want to give you time to do it. And it's got a good rhythm. Oh my God, the previous edition of this book had a story about a fox who lost his tail and wanted to get his tail, and he had to go out, and because his tail had gotten chopped off by the farmer's wife for drinking milk. So he went off to ask, and he was told, "Oh, I can give you." He needed to get milk, so he goes to the cow, and the cow says, "I'll give you milk, but you have to get me hay." So he goes out to find hay, and it's this like, oh my God, it was so long and so many steps. I'm like, can you just three, maybe four? It's too long. Even me as a teacher, like an actor, I'm like, I don't want to do this. I just want to. I wanted to drink halfway through, and I'm not a drinker. This was like, I need a beer. Anyway, this is a much shorter story, and it's much more fun, I suppose. Okay, so now the homework for this chapter. This would have been the classwork that we would work on. Is called a lesson learned. It's the follow-up stuff that you would have done at home from the book. And I've included it in here. Same idea. I want you to look at the questions, get an idea of what you're looking for, then watch the video. And it's a long video, so I apologize it has the black bars on top. Google Drive has a tendency of being selective of what videos it likes to show. And then I go through and I answer the stories. It's Melvin, one of the actors from the text, babysits for some friends, and it's him teaching the 3-year-old how to turn on the lights, turn on and off the lights in her bedroom, and the reaction to that. And it's a very clear, very cute story. I'm not going to ask you to sign that one because it's even longer than the rabbit story. But if you are sitting around with nothing to do, it's a good story. And why am I blurry? Okay, maybe it's filling up on memory. Okay, so we've got questions. Here's the story. Okay. And then I included all the videos. This doesn't actually have the Owl Story, because the Owl Story is only in the teacher book DVD, but that's up above. So, and again, I have the videos up above, and I will submit. There's only 2 videos, but I'll do a separate slideshow of videos. So that is 1011. It's mainly just watching stories and then copying the story on your own, but I will make that a Go React assignment. I haven't done many of those because they're so slow to grade, and I'm already getting questions about, why haven't you graded emailing me my picture? Because that's so low priority. Okay, cool. That's it for right now. I will be posting 1012 in just a little bit.